Cynthia, I sent you a new guest on. Highly upset by this illegal alien from India who was making a illegal U-turn in a semi truck in Florida on the turnpike and ended up unaliving three innocent people. This is gross and it should never have happened. But because of the states of Washington, who issued this gentleman a CDL, as well as the state of California, who issued a non domicile license as a foreign resident, as well as the state of New Mexico that did a DOT inspection on this individual not even a year ago, but still permitted him to drive away from the inspection. And then we have the state of Kentucky Department of Motor Vehicle employees accepting falsified information and issuing licenses for these employees of the Department of Motor Vehicle Kentucky have been accepting upwards of $1,000 to $2,000 per illegal alien to issue a commercial driver's license. I'm highly upset because myself, I am a retired trucker. When I went into trucking, I went to school for 6 months. My first assignment was in Mesquite, Texas, where I had to go through their training, which was another 6 weeks. Then I a trainer for 6 weeks. Then I had to come back and go through advanced training. And then I was put with another newbie for a month before I was allowed to go on my own. And everybody that just joined, please make sure you hit that like button and pop in chat. Let me know who's here. I'll shout out everybody. But aliens are coming, obtaining CDLs. That is a Class A to operate a vehicle that is 80,000 pounds. That's 40 tons of freight. Yeah. And they are driving on our roads in lives. The gentleman from India, the southern border, in 2018. He managed to get a CDL through the state of Washington. Since then, Mr. Singh was in another innocent people due to a trucking company. I sent you another link through Discord already. I sent you two of them, but I don't know how to add you. That's what I'm trying to do. Let's see if I can do it again. I will do that right now. So illegal aliens are obtaining CDLs without proper training or comprehension of the English language and all traffic laws. If you've not watched the video where the illegal alien from India was doing a illegal U-turn on Florida Turnpike in a semi. First of all, you don't make U-turns in a semi truck. That's 80,000 pounds. Traffic doesn't slow because you need to do a U-turn. And a semi truck, folks, in case you don't know, is 95 foot long. Pretty scary if you think about it. People in Florida lost their lives because this gentleman wanted to cheat the system. It's pretty scary that states issue licensing to illegals, even with falsified records, such as Washington State, the state of New Mexico, the state of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The Commonwealth's motor vehicle department employees falsified information for illegals to obtain a CDL. Of course, with the falsification, they were accepting upwards of $2,000 per illegal alien. Employee that was fired by the Commonwealth of Kentucky's governor. I am not a political person, but mentioned lean towards one political party. There's a problem if an illegal alien with falsified information can pay $2,000 and get a license to a $80,000 lethal folks. When you drive a semi truck, the first thing you're told is never make a U-turn. Drove when because many of the drivers would keep they would just change the times and stuff so they could drive extra. And yes, but sometimes the people that are in cars are at fault. Yeah, the problem lies is when that illegal alien to the Department of Motor Vehicle and can obtain a license that is supposed to be a commercial driver's license, meaning you're trained to drive and handle 80 pounds. Hey, welcome. Or Squid Rate. Yeah, it's scary to think these guys are out here driving and caught in Florida for unaliving them. I'll try to speak up. Hopefully, it's a little bit better. Still trying to figure out my new camera. I am using my phone currently. Um, the two in Florida were the Stings from India. Of transportation not to leave the state of Florida until the investigation was over. These two gentlemen did not speak English at all. The next day, they went to the airport, jumped on a flight to California to pack up their belongings, money, and they had tickets to board a at 5 p.m. Like I said, but I'm sorry. We need ICE and the Department of Homeland Security to make sure our criminals, they did kill one that was driving, was involved in a fatal accident that cost two other innocent people. That's scary in itself. And yes, the insurance is to blame, but so is the governors in the states that because here in the state of Michigan, I can tell you Gretchen Whitmer, one of the forerunners to run for president next cycle under uh, her party. She just made it so illegals can get normal licenses. Hey, Jen, where does it stop? Who's accountable when we have governors issuing illegals licenses? If they don't speak English and don't comprehend, do they have on their cars? Are we highways? Like I said, I am not a political person, and I, when you're driving a motor vehicle, a problem because that motor vehicle, and if you're going 50 and you strike another car, yeah, chances of injury or even death. Imagine hitting a semi when you're going the posted speed limit for a vehicle, such as a car. Florida, I do believe on the term, if I'm wrong, and a semi truck driver hasn't made a correct turn or a U turn. This is scary, and we really need to figure out a solution. These, and if you call them undocumented, they're here illegally. They didn't go through the proper channels. As a driver of a retired semi truck driver, ICE is sitting in every rest area in our country, every way station, every truck stop. And yes, I think it should be federal law that they must be able to read and comprehend English and all traffic laws. Thing, the so called truck driver, I call him a criminal, not only has he unalive now 5 souls, innocent souls, 2 years ago, bridge in Arkansas destroying the bridge. Ability. And the scary thing is, folks, Mr. Singh and his relative both had CDLs from this one, and they're to tighten on these truck driving schools. Cynthia, I just added you. There you go. You know, he's caused now millions of dollars in damage, yet he still passes. I think it's time to on illegal aliens such as Singh and his relatives. 's to India to avoid. I intend to follow this case. Five. He should be deported immediately. How do you unalive that many people and go to bed at night? I haven't figured out how to do that. But how do we allow people like this to continue? And these two individuals are not the only one. There are them thousands. Many of the illegal aliens that are driving cannot comprehend English. They do not understand basic traffic laws. That have never been in a semi truck. A semi truck, when it's fully loaded, is 80,000 pounds. To stop that semi truck, it requires two American football at 65 miles an hour for that to slow down to get to the exit. Their brakes. That's a death wish. If you know anyone that does that, with the person in the car. If you pass a truck on a highway, you should put your blinker on as you're getting ready to turn back or change lanes back in. You should not make you should not complete that turn until you are at links ahead of his lights at you. He's telling you, "Yes, I see you. Come on over." Face. Just upsets me that there's motor vehicle falsified information, and they know it's falsified because usually there's a being paid at the motor vehicle in Lexington, Kentucky, folks. And the common happening. You have governors doing aliens. They're not. Now, I don't have a problem with someone that can comprehend the English language that is here legally, meaning they went through the proper channels. And yes, I am saying that from a immigrant entered legally as his grandson and great grandson. My great grandparents and my grandfather entered this country legally. These folks that are out here on our highways driving truck that falsified their information, can't speak English, and are basic trucks. And we allow states to give them SACDLs that they're. I believe the states that are involved in giving illegals aliens first license and or CDLs should be prosecuted as they were the ones driving that semi truck that unalived three people. There's accountability. Like I said previously, I support ICE being at every rest area 24/7, every truck stop 24/7, open 24/7. Everybody should be made to go through the way stations. And if they can't speak English, they should be sent deportation. How many American lives are allowing foreigners here to stay? Correct, Cynthia. And Cynthia, I know that you're located. You can't rubber stamp a illegal alien. Welcome. I'm using straight YouTube, so I'll try StreamYard the next to see if I can get on there. Dog, she was just up in the kitchen counter being a bad girl. You better lay down. Sorry about that, folks. I had to discipline her. She is an Alaskan Malamute, so when she's quarters, she can reach the top of my fridge. She has a bowl full of. She thinks she deserves to eat my food. I love my dogs to death. They're very much spoiled. But, folks, where's accountability? Where's the accountability epidemic? Folks, corn syrup was invented by substance, and it cost millions of Americans health because it's the leading contributor to diabetes. And I'm speaking from experience. I support Robert Kennedy and getting all the dyes and all the crap out of our foods that we eat or drink. That's why I have a container garden and I grow my own vegetables. To water the vegetables. I have an artesian well with wells and I water every 2 days at least 40 gallons my plants with. So I am controlling what I'm eating and drinking. So, Cynthia, did you see the latest recall at Walmart of all things uncooked shrimp? It's radio. I'm lucky that we have a local grocer, Meyer, and that's where I shop. It's the home of one stop shopping. Sam Walton didn't discover one stop shopping, folks. He actually visited Meyer in Michigan and stole the idea. And then he read that book. That book is a falsification. I don't support him or his family or Walmart Inc. And if you can, the shop. It's a terrible organization. They don't, and they actually break your rights by asking to see your receipt as you walk out the door. Well, that's part of the problem. So to get China to agree to buy 80, 89, or 95% products they sell in China. Pretty scary that we allow governments, especially those that are communists in nature, control what we eat here in the United States. I'm a strong believer that no foreign country ought to own any business in the United States, nor should they own. And folks, Chinese are buying up American farmland and businesses faster than you know. You know, the company out of South Carolina, they're buying. I support that has a new law in the books. Chinese cannot own more than 10% of any business, and they cannot own land. But going back to the subject of illegal aliens, like I said, the Singh relatives that were driving making a illegal U-turn in a truck. First of all, like I said previously, you don't make U-turns in a semi truck. If you've seen the turnaround that they were using to turn that truck around on the Florida Turnpike, which you don't do that either, there was not proper room. By doing so, they were blocking the entire when they caused the accident. I hope these two gentlemen capital murder. And yes, the death penalty is capital punishment is real in Florida, folks. Correct, Cynthia. From the licensing, the allotment to even attend a trucking school being an illegal alien should have been illegal. They shouldn't. And yes, they did go to Washington to get their CDL. But the state of California to give them a license on top of it adds insult to injury. New Mexico, after they had a DOT inspection, and they were still allowed to drive away, and they couldn't. I mean, the first time the driver unalived two people, this nightmare should have ended for this gentleman. But they allowed him to get back in the truck and hit a bridge embankment and cost taxpayers millions of dollars because they took out a bridge. Folks, those are made out of cement. How fast was this guy going? Truck driving speed throughout the United States in most of the states is 65, folks. I can tell you, I did drive professionally. I drove the United States, but I only made the left coast. I mean, so much of their own troubles because of their voting practices out there. Semis in Southern California can only run certain hours. I know because I'm sure you know about where it's at. And yes, I am from Lansing, Michigan. Anything about South Central, you'll remember that was Reginald Denning that was pulled out of the truck during the King riots and beat, severely beat. I know Reginald's whole family. They're from my hometown. So when I went there, I made sure the doors were locked, windows were up. But as I was a driver, please, 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 when you're driving and there's a semi truck in that right lane, give them their space and respect. Because that truck driver is on the for weeks, sometimes months, without seeing their family. All for you to have the things you have. Remember, everything you have came by truck. Everything. The milk in your fridge, the gasoline in your vehicle, your clothing, everything comes from truck. If the truck drivers went on strike today, this screeching halt within days, and I do mean screeching. And I applaud our first responders, but folks, if truck drivers went on strike and refused to haul fuel to California, you would not have fire trucks. You would not have that helicopter. You would not have that squad car. You would be thrown back into yesteryear where they used horses. And yes, folks, Cynthia is a first responder with California Fire helicopter pilot. But without truck drivers, she couldn't do her job. I'm not down on truck drivers. I thoroughly support each and every one of them. I respect everybody that gets in the seat of a they comprehend English, they can speak English. And folks, if you're new to the chat, please hit that. But the of many people have to stop. The undocumented should never. I said, I am not political in any nature, but it seems one party in our country thinks undocumented illegal aliens should drive on our roads. Folks, if they don't understand our laws, do they have insurance? Why are you putting your family at risk by allowing this? Why are we putting Americans at risk by allowing this? Answer. I don't care if you like President Trump or not, or if you support ICE or not. ICE needs to be at every truck stop, rest area, DOT inspection stations, and every truck on our highways should have to go through that inspection station. Every truck. And I think illegal aliens need to be deported that are laws concerning trucking. It took me almost 9 months to be qualified to drive on my own. Yet these guys falsify their licensing and they're in the truck the next day. Why are these companies hiring these guys? That's correct, Cynthia. I totally agree with that. If you're not here legally, no insurance, no license, and you are sent back to your country until you learn to document yourself properly. Started that process here in the United States. And that's scary that they're selling them. That's a crime amongst itself. And the people in charge allow it. So that would be Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Washington State, the governor of New Mexico, the governor of Minnesota. Out of all those states, they're all represented by one party. And they're the ones that are issuing illegals licensing. As a former trucker, I'm offended. Just like Cynthia, you didn't learn to fly that helicopter overnight. To how to get water and dump it on the fires overnight. You had to go through training, you had to learn, and I'm sure there was more than one exam. Drive. I don't even want them behind the wheel of a four wheeler. That's what us in the trucking industry call cars. When I was driving, I think I was in New York coming, I was almost to the, he improperly changed lanes, gunned it. So he was doing about 95 when he passed me, and he didn't distancing. He swung improper lane change again, and then onto the exit. Well, I happened to be stopping at that exit because there was a pilot, and that's where I was going to fuel. Well, he was in front of me in line, and there was a police officer that was behind me at this time, both into the pilot. He went in the car to pull behind this guy. In, I was behind him, and the police officer walked in and asked him if he was the driver of the BMW. At that time, he said yes. He identified himself as a attorney on vacation with his wife and child. Oh, you're the BMW that just cut me off on the highway. And he goes, I didn't cut anyone off. I said, no, sir, you're not correct. And you're right. I could stop on a dime in that thing, but you're not going to like where that dime is located. He goes, what do you mean? I will be stopped on time. But Cynthia, you still had to be trained to be a navigator in that helicopter. It's strict on these states that want illegal aliens to drive a lone vote. These people are a danger. And yes, I am talking the governors of these, as well as the illegal aliens. How many more innocent American lives have to be lost because of illegal aliens? My question to each and every one of you is your son or daughter or a relative the next victim? Let that sink in. That's a pretty tough question. Are you ready to lose a relative because a illegal alien falsified records and is in the United States? And when they kill someone, they're told not to leave the state of Florida. So the next day they jump on a plane to Stockton, California, withdraw all their cash out of the bank and their belongings and have a flight booked to India at 5. Thank God for US federal marshals who caught these two gentlemen. They should never have been on a fly list after the accident. They should be on a list. Folks, let me tell you, if you've never seen a accident scene semi truck driver semi truck in a car, they are very graphically truck driver. I witnessed it. A 23-year-old gentleman was decapitated. His car went under a semi truck. One of my last few trips, I was driving up probably 2 in the morning. I see the passing lane at a high rate of speed. Did I realize it was a semi truck? I am doing posted 65 miles an hour speed. He didn't have a governor on there. His truck, there was just no way. He was doing excess of 90 miles an hour with his truck at 2 in the morning. Traffic, but speed is dangerous. And you, well, this driver passed me literally, and he's just about out of view when I see his taillights go left. He's in the far left lane already, meaning he went into the medium, folks. He hit the bridge embankment with his trailer, sending the semi up and over the bridge. In the bottom of the bridge, when that truck came back around because it snapped it around, was even with the bottom of the bridge. I immediately pulled over, grabbed my flashlight, and my fire extinguisher, and I went running after I pulled the air brakes and had my truck. As I hate to be graphic, but I tripped over his head. He was decapitated, killed instantly. And that's part of the reason I have rescue dogs, because my dogs are also emotional support. And if you have home in your heart for a companion, I would have you look at possibly getting a rescue dog. Give them their forever so much. And folks, I will be covering this case, like I said, from here. Every development, President Trump has now weighed in on this. And every way station. Sean Duffy, the Department of Transportation, United States, is heavily involved. Our last director of that department used it to show himself off. That'd be Mayor Pete. Folks, Mayor Pete, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom are a serious threat to the country. If they fix the rules so a illegal alien can get driving privileges, not only driving privileges, but voting privileges, such as in Kathy Hochul's New York. What are we doing to our country? And the governors aren't the only ones to blame. Not at all. When you have politicians such as the most racist person in our government, Maxine, is a racist term, folks. That's just like calling a person that is black in color. And yes, folks, I'm a strong to term limits and age limits. You should not be able to I don't care if it's city, state, or federal, more than two terms combined. You should not be able to be government 57 years. folks listening to me babble, the input, and yes, folks, it's time. That is your DMVs, the people that are issuing licensing to illegal aliens. I'm sorry, these two guys that just unalived three people. Um, Anyone that issued their license, including that counter at the Department of Motor Vehicle that looked the other way for some cash, should be facing life sentencing, if not the death penalty in Florida. Hopefully, you enjoyed my stream. I've been on for an hour. So, I thank everybody for joining today and streams about this case. We'll be doing a classic car cruise here in the state of Michigan. 27 classical cruise. They go from Coldwater, Michigan, which is near the state line, all the way to the Mackinac Bridge. That is the 5 mile bridge, single span bridge that connects the lower and upper peninsula of the state of Michigan. Please, please, I ask that you tune in and just cars. I don't know how much I'll talk during that stream, but if you are a fan of old cars, you will like this show. I am going to go to where they're staying the night, the second to the last night of the cruise, and I will be there as they're arriving, and they park the cars out back in like car show fashion. So I will be covering that as well. Viewing, please hit that. And Cynthia, thank you. I appreciate you becoming a mod. Y'all have a blessed day. Catch you on the next one.